Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about the 2003 miniseries North and South, so let's get right into it. So this miniseries stars Daniela Denby Ash and Richard Armitage as the male lead and female lead, and it is based on the novel North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell, which is a novel published in 1854, between 1854 and 1855, and I personally call it the social kind of politics, sociology version of Pride and Prejudice. And so I love this drama. Think Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth, but instead of arguing about your Pride and my Prejudice, we're kind of arguing about that in relation to our social classes and how we perceive people on a, I guess, lower rung of the ladder than us. And so North and South is set in Milton, which is supposed to be kind of like a Manchester. And the female lead, Margaret Hale, she moves with her family, her mother and her father, to Milton, and they're from the New Forest. So they live in like this beautiful, really fresh part of England with green grass, and she goes to Milton where it's smoky and everybody's working and super poor, and it's not like she's not been around poor people her entire life, but it's very different living around poor people in a smoky part of the region versus someone with a lot of grassland. And so the male lead, whose name is Mr. Thornton, he meets Margaret Hale because her father is he's kind of like a priest, and he's a rector, right, of the church, and he moves to Milton because he struggles with he's kind of questioning his religion. He's questioning his stance on his religion and how he feels about the church, and so he moves to Milton to teach, and Mr. Thornton is one of his students because Mr. Thornton is trying to educate himself because all he's been doing since he was kind of young, because his father died quite young, is he dropped out of school and started working in business. And so he meets Margaret and he thinks she's gorgeous, and she's like, I don't really care for you. I don't like shoppy people, people in business. And they just continue to argue for most of the novel about the fact that he doesn't treat his workers well, about the fact that he doesn't understand how to be a kind gentleman. And the whole thing is her questioning his gentlemanliness. And at a certain point, he actually proposes to her, and she refuses, and he's very embarrassed, and they separate for a while. But then she kind of she's like, I actually like him, and he's not that bad of a dude. And while she's considering those things, he's trying to treat his workers better by giving them food, by giving them a place to kind of like calm down after the work shift has ended. And so in the end, Margaret, who grew up for a while with her aunt in London, moves back home to London after her parents die, and Mr. Thornton and her reunited at the end of the series, and they basically will get married. Margaret also has a guy called Henry Lennox, who is a lawyer, and he's in love with her, but she doesn't like him. She's never liked him. He's not a shoppy person, but she's never really appreciated him as a partner either. And so she ends up with Thornton in the end, and she realizes everything that she is prejudiced against him for was really unfair. And he also realizes that he had a lot of pride, and he kind of decides to let that go because he wants to be with her. And again, she lets go her prejudice by being with him. I believe that the novel was heavily inspired by Jane Austen because of the way that the couple dynamics are, but you also have the backdrop of poverty in the region of Milton, what it's like for people to work in a factory where they are working with cotton, and where they're getting like choked up and very close to death because they're working with that cotton. And you feel for these people who in real life would have been working in these conditions and getting diseases from working in factories for long hours and working with the products that they're working with. And Margaret feels for these people, and it takes time for Mr. Thornton to feel the same way that she does, but we can certainly say that love leads him in the right direction. And it's one of my favorite stories. It's very romantic, and it's also interesting to watch if you're into discussions of class and poverty. And I loved it so much. And also I learned that like I don't really believe that in our society much has changed. There are social nets, but things are significantly the same, right? Like things are pretty much the same now, even in England today. So yeah, I love this drama. Let me know what you thought about the miniseries in the comments below. If you like my channel, please subscribe. And this video, please hit the like button below. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.